Hey guys, Mike Toy, Bonsai Boise. So today I've got my Cotoneasters that need some attention, as you can see. I've got 3 of them all together. This is the biggest of the 3, but I'm going to do a trim on all 3 of them. I'm not going to repot them because it's a little late in the year for that. Even though these things are pretty hardy and can take it, not going to do it right now. Just going to trim them and then just kind of go over a little bit of the structure that I'm going for. So, like I said, I got 3 of them. I've got this one, and this one. So come with me and we will do some trimming on these guys and get them back into shape. All right, so let's get started. So I'm going to start with the biggest one here. I repotted this guy last year, about this time, maybe a little earlier in the year, I'm not sure. But so it's been in this pot about a year. I've had it for about 3 years, and a little bit about Cotoneasters that I can tell you about. There's a million varieties. I couldn't even tell you what variety this is. I wish I knew, but I don't know. I did some research and honestly I just couldn't narrow it down. And then I sort of just gave up. I haven't revisited that again. So I don't know what variety it is, but I can say that on one hand, they're fast growers. They grow branches just in every which direction. And on the other hand, they're slow growers, as in the trunks don't thicken very fast, I noticed on any of these. So it's kind of a weird deal. Couple other pieces that I'll mention that I've noticed about these Cotoneasters is that they love to sprout 2, 3, 4 branches from the same location in different directions. And here in a second, I'm gonna zoom in and give you kind of a close-up. But to give you an idea of this one and what the goal is, what we're going for, I'm going for kind of an S shape, starting here at the bottom, and then it's going to travel up the trunk like this, and then it's going to have a small outshoot out here, coming back over, having a small outshoot on this side, and ultimately on this side, over here somewhere, that being the leader. So that's the overall goal. So I'm going to go ahead and zoom in now so that you can get a better look at it while we do some trimming. I'm going to do some light trimming here just in the middle so you can get a better look at what's going on. I'm going to get rid of some of these real obvious ones. See ones like this here where it's growing inward. You don't want those. This here, we don't want that. We don't want that. I'm just trying to get a little bit of an open space there so you can get a better look. So right there you can sort of see a little bit, hopefully, of the vision. It's going to start here, go up, a little offshoot there, but ultimately this way and then over. And I actually debated on getting rid of this whole section back here and having this be the leader and picking one of the branches to curve back inward, but decided against it because basically I already have it. So what I'm going to do now is just do some sort of a hedge style pruning. Really get it into shape. Cotoneasters are a fun thing in some ways because of just how ruthlessly you can prune these things back. And in other ways, they're frustrating by the way that, that they back bud, because they never seem to grow in the way or direction that I want them to grow. And that's okay. All right, so I got that one trimmed up a little. I'm gonna have to give that actually more of a trim. This big piece here, a little bit bigger. Because I just want this to be kind of a small offshoot. So I'm gonna have to get rid of that, get a better look here. And you can see all these leaves that just back bud all down in there. Sometimes the only way to get them is really just rip them out. Okay. Yeah, Cotoneasters are technically a shrub more than a tree. And there are pros and cons I've noticed with shrubs. I do a lot of shrubs, and I've noticed pros and cons. Pros being you can get really ruthless with them. They can take a lot of abuse. I could easily probably repot this thing right now and trim some roots and everything, and it would still live. wouldn't be quite as healthy. I mean, it would take a little bit out of the health of it, but it would live. So it's still a little too high there, so I'm gonna take a little more off right there. On the downside of a shrub, they're not quite as pretty as a tree. So there's ups and downs, but Cotoneasters have been fun. I'm not sure if you can see what I'm wrestling with in here, but got just these little tiny, yeah, all right, so we'll leave a little bit of that to do its work. Really no use at this point getting too nitpicky with it and, you know, fine tuning it, because it's not exactly show quality, obviously. Still has a long way to go. It's in this ugly training pot, so I'm not gonna worry about it too much. I'm just gonna get that down to shape. Yeah, I think I'm okay with that, except get rid of that right there. Okay. All right, so let's get a look here. So we got this guy coming back. We don't want that. Got this one coming straight at you. Don't want that. Got some pretty good branching going on in there. So we'll revisit that here in a minute. Right now I'm just going to trim it down a little bit. And who knows, I may eventually even change up my style and not go with the S shape. If something else starts to emerge that I just like better, well, it might just change. And the only reason I'm saying that is because I'm starting to see a little bit of a different opportunity where it could be more of a tree look. This being just, you know, the lower branch, and then it comes up, splits into two, and this could be kind of just like a tree canopy. I would have to eventually raise this up because it's too extreme of a slant. But I do that with a lot of my trees though. I do these really extreme slants, even if I don't keep it ultimately. I do it for a long time, especially in training pots, because it creates good movement in the tree, because the tree is always going to grow toward the sun. So when you put a slant on it like that, it's going to cause it to grow this way or whichever way you face it. And then later when you repot it and you change the slant or straighten it up right more, it's got all this cool movement in it from all that time growing in that direction. So that's why I do it. So I'm going to lower that a little more. All right, so that's all I'm going to do on this for now. Let me get this one down to size, and then we'll make some decisions on which direction to go. Yeah, there we go. Well, you know, I may just leave some options open. I mean, I could turn this into more of a canopy at some point. The way that the branches grow on these things, it wouldn't take that long to create good ramification and get a good canopy. So I think I'm gonna more or less leave it kind of like this. I'll get rid of some of this stuff. Literally every time I say I'm going to leave it just like this, this looks great, then I see something. Okay. All right. So I'm going to give you a little spin here. I think I'm just going to keep it like this for now. This was really just a routine trim just so it doesn't turn into a giant bush, which is really what it is, but we're going for more of a tree look in one shape or form. So let me give you a spin. All right, I'll do the nitpicky cleanup details off camera. So for now, let me go ahead and get to tree number 2. All right, on to tree number 2 here. So this one, as you can see, has an extreme slant. Hopefully you can see how sharp that is. And I'm doing that for movement. Ultimately, this one is going to be up more kind of like that probably. And the rough idea that I've got in mind for it is that this will be the main canopy here. This will be kind of a smaller side canopy. Call it a supporting canopy. So knowing that it's going to be up more like this ultimately, I'm trying to allow more growth on the back side, since this won't ultimately be the back side. This will be just the side. This, for example, say even though this branch is growing outward and slightly up, when I do stand it up like this, this will be facing down. So I'm trying to keep all that in mind as I'm pruning, just because that is going to be the direction that it ultimately goes. So for now, I'm going to start the way that I always start, which is by removing the ones that I know won't make the cut, just to get them out of the way. I find that doing that gets rid of a lot of the clutter and kind of helps me visualize it better, and also just see what I'm gonna do better. So I'm gonna get rid of some of these. Turn these just down to size a bit. And again, I'll just emphasize that this is not a refinement yet. We're not into that stage. I'm still just in the, to me, this is actually kind of the fun stage. This is where you're still in the creative part and you're figuring out what you want to do. You've got the freedom to take it any direction that you want. You're not really confined yet. When you start to refine it, that's fun too. And that's when they actually look the best. So I'm not putting that part down. But when it comes to refining the trees, you're a little more confined then, because it's not as easy to just sort of change style at that point. I'm going to get rid of some of these spots where we've got 2 and 3 branches coming out at once. And there. And like I said, with these shrubs, you can get pretty ruthless with them and just sort of hack away at them. And I mean, I'm not going to say they're bulletproof, but I will say that they are extremely tough. And I have really wailed on some different shrubs that I've had before. I mean, you could chop it in half almost if it's the right time of year and it's, all the conditions are right. But you can just about chop it in half and it'll just keep on going, not skip a beat. I think that one's not going to make it. I'm going to actually shorten that one down. And now here, with this being the ultimate main canopy, I will say Cotoneasters are fun. I mean, they're no Japanese maple as far as show quality or anything, but they're really just a lot of fun because the leaves and the leaves are small on them. The branches grow so quickly and so vigorously that you get to play on them a lot. It's not one of those trees that you get to prune once a year and it's like, well, that's it. That's my creative outlet for that tree for the year. Most you can do at least twice a year, but you know what I mean. Some grow so vigorously that you have to prune them 3 or 4 times just to stay on top of them, or else they get way out of control. I've got well, if you've seen my other videos on Siberian elms, I got a bunch of Siberian elms actually. Those are a good example because those things grow so fast and so vigorously. And if you turn your back on it for a couple of months in the growing season, it's just a giant bush. So therefore, I think that those are a lot of fun because you get to play with it a lot. You can change the shape and structure all the time if you want. Okay, so take these down just a little bit. I know it may be hard to see kind of the grand vision that I'm going for here. And that might be because I don't have a grand vision. I have a loosely based vision. But again, just to point out, trunk, main canopy, smaller supporting canopy, kind of next to / slightly under the main canopy, ultimately when I raise it up. So I am going to shorten this down a little more. Like like I've said before, it's always a little scary to make big cuts like that. Once it's done, it's sort of done. But once you do it, almost always looks better. I've rarely made big cuts and then gone, oh gosh, I wish I didn't do that. No, I'm almost always happy that I did. So I think that's good for now. You know, like I said, just for now, I'll do some of the really detailed maintenance stuff off camera. And when I say detailed refinement, I'm not talking about the refinement like we were just saying of getting it perfectly pristine. I'm talking about like making sure that it doesn't have 3 branches growing out of one location down here. You know, it's kind of tedious work and sort of time consuming. So rather than bore you through the whole thing, I'll get it roughly in shape, talk about the vision, and then I'll do some of this fine stuff afterwards. So let me give you a little spin here and give you a look at it. All right, let's move on to tree number 3. Okay, last but not least, this weird looking guy. So I've been struggling on what to do with this one, and I'll tell you why. Remember how a minute ago I was saying you can get pretty ruthless with these, and you almost want to more often, because if you don't, they get out of control. So this is a decent example of what I'm talking about. So I know it doesn't look out of control because I have since pruned it back, but last year I did not stay on top of this one the way that I should have and the way I did the others. And so here's what you get as a result. You get this weird, long, scraggly looking bush thing. So you've got these long spaces without anything in between, skinny branches, rather than keeping it smaller and compact and getting ramification in between. Here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna get drastic on this one because why not? Since it's this long, scraggly looking thing that seems to have no clear course of action, I'm gonna make a cut right here, lose this branch, right here, and lose all this top. So basically all of this. And so the trunk line will go from here out this way, and this will be where the main leader and the main canopy is. This will be little supporting branches. So I get rid of some of these tiny little shoots, but that's going to be the goal. So it's going to slow down the growth of this thing quite a bit by taking that much foliage off, but it's okay. It's a bonsai. They're not supposed to go fast. So without further ado, let's go ahead and make the big cuts. I'm going to start with this one here, since it's poking me right in the face. There it goes. It's going to be drastic. Part of me too thought about keeping it just to help thicken the trunk. You know, I can basically just keep this and just let it grow wild, but keep this part in shape. And I'm still thinking about it. Oh, little spider on there. I think I got him. I hope I got him. I don't know what kind of spiders those are, but I keep finding spider webs on the trees. And what happens is they make these webs over the leaves to catch little bugs and gnats, and then the leaves die, the ones that are caught in the web. So anytime I see those things, I try to get rid of them. There's some spiders that are good, can't remember what, and frankly I just don't know which. I don't know which ones are good or bad, so when I see spider webs all over it, then I see a spider, I get rid of the spider. You know, I'm just gonna go ahead and get rid of it. I know that it will slow down the growth of the tree, but that's okay. So let's just go ahead and get rid of it. There it goes. It's quite a haircut. In the end, we will be glad that we did it. So now let's, and this one actually isn't slanted at an extreme angle like the other ones were. So this one is kind of okay the way it is. I like a little bit of slant. Very few of my trees are just straight up. They all have some kind of slant this way or that, and I'm okay with it. I like it. But that's just me. Okay, so I'm gonna just do a light trim here and here, get rid of that. This one we might actually do a little bit of fine tuning down here since we already made the big cut anyways. We'll do a little fine tuning just to give us a good look of what it'll look like, even though it's young in the process. We don't want that. Okay, that's probably enough for that for now. This here, let's have a look. Kind of wondering what to do with this one here, since the way that it's angled comes up. This would be the canopy. Probably gonna have to bring that down a little bit. Oops. A little clip happy there. And I'm gonna want to get rid of that. It's coming out of the base of another branch. Didn't see that till now. Got a lot of those actually in there. So I can give you a look. Hopefully you can see that okay. I've been dancing with the sunlight all afternoon, trying to get it so that the lighting is right and you can see well. Okay, so there it is. I can sort of see it better now. So what we've got is the main trunk line coming up. Got this guy coming out right here. And then this branch, this branch, this branch, and this branch, all on the canopy. So they're not exactly all coming out of the same spot, but pretty close. And that's sort of okay. You can get away with that a little bit more on a on the canopy part, because you know that's where they're going to be all clustered up anyway. So let's just clean it up a little more, see what else, if anything, we need to do up here. I'm just not sure about this one here. Turn it back a little. My scissors are there. I don't like how these two are crossing like that. I'm really not into doing any wiring at the moment. So I'm actually gonna get rid of that right there. Yeah, I don't do a lot of wiring. I do it on some, but I don't do it a lot for whatever reason. I don't know, something about this one, it's just too straight or something. So we're gonna take it way back. And here we actually do have 3 branches coming out of one spot. So I'm gonna get rid of this one. And there's just something bugging me about this branch right here. Oh, and I think I see what it is now. It's coming out of the same spot as another branch. I knew something just didn't feel right about it. That's what it was. We'll go with that. And this one here, I'm actually not liking because it sort of curves back in. Clean up some of these nubs here. Honestly, I find that a lot of times with these Cotoneasters, just digging in there and just ripping out some of those leaves at the bottom is the most effective way. Because you could spend a lot of time just trying to get your scissors in there just right. It doesn't help that I'm not using very high quality scissors right now, but even if I was, still some of those little cracks and crevices are just so tight. It's just easier to reach in there and rip out the little bunch of leaves that you're going for. Got this one branch here that's just going straight down. I'm gonna get rid of that. And like I said, I am getting a little bit more nitpicking, doing a little bit more refinement work on this one just because we did such big cuts anyways. Okay, I'm gonna do a little cleanup here on this big cut that I did. I have not experienced a ton of dieback issues with Cotoneasters. And just for the record, I'm no Cotoneaster scientist or anything. I'm just saying that I've got some experience with them now. I've been working with them for a few years. Doesn't make me an expert by any means, but from my experience, I haven't had a whole lot of dieback issues. Don't know what to think about this up here. I'm not in love with it at all. Part of me thinks that this lower branch just needs to go. Let me picture it without it. Yeah, I think it does. See, with this kind of being the front right here, you see this is hidden by the back anyway. I think I am going to get rid of that. Just nothing I did made it right. I kept trying to shape it in a way that we could save it, but it couldn't be saved. Okay, so there it is. It went on quite the diet there and lost a lot of foliage, but that is okay. Sorry, I see one more thing here. I'm gonna take this one back to here and I'll tell you why. See how the branch is fairly thick, even with these two? I'm gonna take some of the vigor out of this so it ends up being smaller than the leader. So there we go. And that's it. So, like I said, it took quite a haircut there. It's a lot skinnier now. I have a feeling it will bounce back pretty vigorously. It's gonna bush out, but it will also slow down the overall development of the trunk and the thickening of the trunk. So it'll bounce back, but it's a little step back from its thickening schedule. So ultimately I might go for kind of a slender look on this and just have kind of a longer, slender looking trunk. I've seen those bonsais, I like them. So that's it for that. So give me 1 second here. I'm gonna grab the bigger one and then we'll wrap it up. All right, so there they are, my 3 Cotoneasters. Just did some routine pruning for structure and to keep them smaller and compact and not letting them turn into a big wild overgrown bush. So hope you enjoyed it. If you've got any comments or you've got a good experience with these, please leave me a message or a comment and add in your 2 cents with it. So I learned a lot from talking with you guys and discussing things. So don't ever hesitate to leave some feedback on there. I appreciate it. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please do subscribe to the YouTube channel. It's just youtube.com/Bonsai Boise. I appreciate everybody who does. You can see updates on these trees and other trees. I've got a million of them of all different kinds of species. And I try to document the whole journey from start to finish. So even when things go wrong, I try to show where it went wrong. So I'm not just highlighting my favorite parts and my favorite trees and making it look like I'm Mr. Miyagi, I highlight I showcase all of it, warts and all. So anyways, thanks for all of you who do watch and like and subscribe, and have a great day.